to be with no other purpose than to be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do as the manager to prevent that behavior and to manage that behavior? Because I promise you that with a new station, you're going to have some clowning around. You're going to have some people who come to you who have no interest in what you have to say, no interest in our programming, but they're just people who just want to be disruptive. What are you going to do about that?
I'll just ignore them or block them.
You can't ignore.
No.
You can't ignore it. What you have to do is you have to figure out how to use the software, and you have to know who you're going to watch your analytics, and you're going to watch who is on your station.
Yes.
So that way you don't have these types of problems. But this does happen, and talk shows get fed up with it. They get fed up very, very, very quickly of the clowning around that some of these talk show hosts put up with. So that's interesting. So I guess probably, listener, you at home would probably know more. The name drop that you gave sounds familiar, but I know that I've not listened to that person. Probably what happened is that station simply went under. It just went out of business.
Yeah, it went under. Yes, I believe it went under.
Right. That means it went out of business. They didn't make enough profit. So, one of the things that we're going to have to explore is how I am basically in a sense, what I want to do is I want to know that I helped another blind person, not only with this podcast, which I am suspicious that this is helpful to one person. And if Aaron's opinion helps one person, it just helped a million others. But apart from all of that, I want to know that I helped you to run a radio station because, I might be one of these people who secretly has always wanted to work in a radio station, has always wanted an influence in radio and in content. And my dream did come true. I do have a radio show now in California. And after the meeting and after our show tonight, I'm going to call the other end because now I have to, it's a long story, but I have a question for that person now. But yet and regardless, you have to work these things out so that your station has a chance of thriving and not just, falling,
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how are you going to manage this as our manager?
I'll create a Dropbox folder with your podcast in it.
That's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with that at all. It's all right. Please listen. It's okay. Your nerves are spilling right out of your glass, man. If you were drinking beer, you would have spilled it all over the carpet by now. You're shaking. I can tell you're shaking because you didn't hear my question. I said, "What? It's all right. I said you're going to need to basically manage two things. Manage the money of the station, manage the capital of the station, and then manage the customer." So, the truth of it and the answer is that you can talk to person X in California. So our friend in California, they may be willing to do a lot of the work for you, and if they are, that's great. But we aren't going to talk about that now. What we are going to talk about in this segment is what I need to know what you're going to do as our manager to basically successfully manage the station. Because why should Aaron give you content? I'm not saying this to be. I'm not trying to sound mean, but why should I give you content if you can't manage it? If you can't, it's like saying if you can't. A baby has to crawl before they walk, So you would have to show me that you can, crawl before you walk or run before you fly. So how are you going to do that?
I'm gonna at hold on, let me take a deep breath. I'm gonna I'll be editing your podcast to make sure it's a good podcast with my station IDs.
Right. So basically, yeah, the standard seems to be that every 30 minutes, the station identification comes up, which is why in a couple minutes here we're going to have to take a break, and you're going to hear me say it. So, yeah, you need to know how to use the editing software. Sure. So, I mean,
Yeah.
do you feel confident with this software?
I feel a little bit I've used the software a little bit, but I will try my best to use the software as best as I could.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do my best to edit the content.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, I would when we talk, because I'm gonna call California after this because I have a question for them about something else. But yeah, I would strongly ask. We'll call them Mr. California. I would ask Mr. California how to do all of that and see if he can help you. So good. And so you have me. Do you have anyone else that you would like to put on your station? Do you have any other ideas of content that you would potentially air?
I'll put the NABS, National Association of Blind Students Now podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask for permission first. I'll always ask people for permission to put before putting it on the air. So,
right. Yeah, you do have to do that. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask the president of the National Association of Blind Students to say, hey, I'm running a radio station. Would you mind if I air the Naps Now podcast? And
good.
So
yeah. No, I don't know. I cannot and do not speak for them, but I don't see why they would have a problem. But yes, you still have to. And who is their president, by the way?
Her name is Catherine Webster.
Oh,
Catherine Webster.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'm not in college anymore, but those names do sound familiar. Mm-hmm.
They are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good. All right. Cool. So you would have maybe me on their podcast, but then you got to fill 24 hours of the day. So what else do we have planned here?
We play different kinds of music, like top 40/pop and
right.
some hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
So and other DJs as well, like other DJs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right, and one of the things that's really tricky about podcasting, and one of the interesting things is it's harder than you would think to get people to listen to. So what are you going to do after you get it all set up? How are people going to know about the station?
I'll set up a profile of every DJ on my website.
Right, yeah, but how would the public know to even tune into the station in the first place?
It's all promoted across social media, such as Facebook, Twitter. And
are you going to use any software that would help you to automatically produce content and automatically do that? Because, I just published an episode of Aaron's Opinion that I recorded last week. It just came out at 1800, and then it was already on my YouTube, already out on Twitter, and then I already shared it in the group. And then I ate dinner for a minute, and then I came and talked to you. So you see, these things happen very, very, very quickly. Mm-hmm.
Yes, automated, like Hootsuite or IFTTT, whatever it is. It's called IFTTT.
Yeah, is that IFTTT that thing?
If this, then that.
Yes. Yeah, so you know how else? It's funny. You know how else I know about that software? I know
Yeah.
about that because that software is used. People who have exotic pets like snakes and reptiles. People people who have did you know that people who have pet snakes use that software to turn on their heaters and turn on their heat mats and things like that. That's how I knew about that. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh well. Oh, I thought you wanted a pet snake for your birthday. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, I'm slightly disappointed about that. It was a very, very promising ball python. But I guess he'll have to go to someone else. Oh right. Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well. But but yeah, if you use one of those apps, I mean,
Like
guys.
Zapier.
Okay.
Even Zapier.
Okay. Good. So I mean, as long as you are researching how you would automate, again, I think Mr. California knows how to automate, um, because that's what I'm gonna ask him about a couple of things after we get off this call. But yeah, as long as you know how to automate the station 24/7, that's good. But still, well, let's say a lot of stations, internet these days, they do. Um, they do a lot of replays, right? So you might, you in the KCGN and out in Bakersfield, you're hearing this episode right now, and then you might also hear it tomorrow at the same time, Armando. So my point is that
Yeah.
you have to do. There's a lot of repetition. You might have 12 hours, but then I don't know, you reverse the order in the second 12 or something like that, or you shuffle the order or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm sure there are ways of doing all of that.
Yeah. We probably will do replays as well on the radio station.
Well, you would.
So
I mean, you would. I think probably you would have to,
yes.
because I mean, all stations do replays, because unless you're like one of the major news agencies that has radio, like the famous global stations that do 24/7 news. I mean, they have new stuff every hour, but even no, I take that back. Even they do. No, BBC and LFE, RFI. The French is my second language, so I listen to the French news output sometimes. Even they do replays. So all stations
Mhm.
do replay. So you got to know about doing that. That's
Yeah.
really, really, really important. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Got to learn how to got to know about the replays.
And the other thing that I want to talk more about is, how will this, website, and how are you going to even manage and maintain the website, of the station?
I have it in one package. It's a subdomain of the blindadvocate.net. So
Right, and
I'll
sure,
be
awesome, yeah. And so, by the way, did you yourself start blindadvocate.net? Was it all your creation?
yes, it's all my creation.
Beautiful.
All of it was.
Well, I think I perused it. I perused the website a little. I think one of the things of many that would help you apart from the radio station is, there also needs to be a lot of articles and kind of more like a news agency with it, so that people can read what's going on. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, we are coming up, as we say in the radio business. You've done really well. I appreciate you're hanging in there, man. You're overcoming your nerves, and
Yeah. Thank you.
we're coming up on a hard break. So what do you want to talk about when we get back after a 60-second break? What do you want to talk about? Okay, I have 30 seconds. What do you want to talk about?
Talk about my struggles with blindness and.
Well, let's talk about that in a moment. My name is Aaron Richmond. Aaron's Opinion. We're glad you're here. By the way, you're listening to 87.